Morning. Thank you for joining us. Today is December 8th, 2021. It's the Lee County Comprehensive and Zoning hearing. And if you could please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. And staff, would you like to call the first case?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, good morning. Mr. Danley is going to do the presentation.
Commissioners, good morning. My name is Dirk Danley. I'm a senior planner in the community development. We have 4 cases before you today. The first of which is actually 2 case numbers, but a single case. It's REZ 2021-5 and SEZ 2021-5. It is a conventional rezoning request of 6.13 acres from mobile home residential plan development to mobile home residential district, and a special exception in that mobile home district to allow the use of storage open on 6.13 acres of land. This is a subject property. The hearing examiner did recommend approval of the rezoning request and approval of the special exception request with one condition. And it was just conditioned to the site plan that you see before you today. Staff and the applicant are here if you have any questions. There was 1 participant of record.
Great. Thank you. Any questions for staff at this time from the board? No? Okay. Would the applicant wish to address the board?
Good morning. Veronica Martin, Senior Planner with TDM Consulting, representing the applicant, Jamaica Bay West Associates. I don't really have anything to add to Dirk's presentation this morning. We are in agreement with the recommended condition that the site plan must be consistent with the DO. We are in agreement with the staff report and the HEC's recommendation of approval. I can answer any questions you may have.
Great. Any questions for the applicant at this time? Okay, great. Thank you. We'll go ahead and call public comment. We have 1 participant of record, Ross Hollander. Is Ross here? Okay, Ross is not here. We'll close public comment. We have a motion for approval.
Second.
We have a second. Any other discussion? Any objection? No objection. Motion carries. Thank you.
Okay, our second case before you today is case number DCI. Oh, let me get down to it. Sorry, DCI 2021-18. It's an amendment to an existing commercial plan development to add package store to the schedule of uses and approve a deviation from Land Development Code 34-1263, which requires a separation of 500 feet between schools and package stores to allow 319 feet for a proposed package store, and I believe it's Pine Island Elementary School. You can see it there on the aerial. The hearing examiner recommended approval with conditions. There were 6 participants of record. And staff and the applicant are here with any questions that you may have.
Great. Any questions for staff at this time?
Yeah, just explain to me why 500 feet is not 500 feet, or we're going to ignore it in this case.
So the way that this language reads is a little tricky. The Land Development Code, the way it's crafted, is really that there is an ability to have an administrative approval for package stores if they're more than 500 feet. And if it's less than 500 feet, then it's required to go through a special exception. Since this isn't a planned development.
That's my question.
The mechanism is just that reduction is, instead of going through a special exception process, is a deviation in this case because it's.
So is the package store going to be within 500 feet of an elementary school?
Yes, it'll be within 319 feet.
And the hearing examiner says that's close enough for government work to make an exception?
Recommend approval for that deviation, yes.
And there's nothing else for us to look at other than saying, okay, 300 feet will do it in this case?
In this case, there was not anything else requested as part of this plan development. Just to add some backup language, if that helps clarify it, this is it's a little more under construction the way it is today. There's a Publix that's under construction. I believe it's not completed, but it's going to be part of that. In that shopping center is where the package store is proposed, and the proposed development is going to be consistent with the master concept plan that was approved as part of that plan development. They weren't making any changes to that, and that's why that's not before you for approval here today.
All right.
I have a question. So you said it's under construction, correct? So if this was denied today, the public would be continue to be built, just they would use the space for something else?
That's my understanding, yes.
So there'd be like a leasing space for themselves?
Correct. Yeah, there's an approved schedule of uses. Package store is currently not on it, and that's why we're looking to add that use today. And then the deviation is just to address the separation requirements because that elementary school is nearby.
Okay, great, thank you. Any other questions? Mr. Wayne?
Just for clarity, so this is your typical strip mall that Publix is in, and many times they have, obviously, their own packaged goods stores right next to it, correct? That's the type of
That's my
strip.
understanding. I would like to say it's better than typical because we like to do exemplary development here.
And this isn't the first time that we've had a Publix and a packaged goods store that's obviously
Correct.
together as one.
That's, yeah.
Any other situations where we've actually had this situation where it's less than 500 square feet in the county?
It's a relatively common occurrence, and that's why that special exception process is in our code today. They follow the same rules as a bar or cocktail lounge that also has its same 500-foot separation requirement, and once they're within that 500 feet, a special exception is required.
I just wanted clarification for the record. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Any other questions for staff at this time?
Mr. Chairman, if I may, do you all have the ability to put this one, is that what they call the master concept plan from?
Oh, it is on there, yep.
Yeah.
It's turned the wrong direction, but
Okay, but so if we're looking at this graphic, the left side of this map, kind of where it says Banks, but really a little to the north of that, that's where the school is located?
correct, yes.
Okay, and so it's hard to read from the screen, but it looks like there's going to be a Publix in between the border of the school property and the package store. Am I reading that correctly? So the Publix is actually,
It's a little hard to read. I'm not exactly sure what unit they're looking to occupy. And
is it, I can read it. My eyes aren't that bad, but they're getting
Yeah.
there. They really are. It says grocery store here
Correct.
in this
Yeah.
big box, and then next to the grocery store, it says package store here. So,
Yes,
looking at it, I completely sympathize and understand the concern about having it closer to the school property, but it appears that not only it looks like the closest part of the school property that'll be near this will be a baseball field, so that's quite a bit of a buffer. And then on top of that, you're gonna have a Publix in between the package store and the school property too. So that appears that it would give even more of a buffer between the school property and the package store. That was just one of the things that as I was reading the material, I noticed.
thank you, Commissioner.
Also, just one other comment, if I will, Mr. Chair. It's not uncommon, there's a Publix right near my office, and many times if you're standing at the Publix, the packaged goods store is on the right-hand side. In this particular case, it's going to be on the left-hand side. So they are creating the distance, I agree with Commissioner Hammond, that they can. So there's not only a ball field, Commissioner Hammond said, and the Publix, but it's to the other side. So I'm comfortable with it. And they go hand in hand if you go through Lee County. I mean, every time you see Publix, their packaged goods store is right next to it. So I'm comfortable with it.
Thank you. Any other questions for staff before we hear from the applicant? No? Okay. Would the applicant wish to address the board? Beverly, there she is. Morning, Beverly.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the County Commission. For the record, my name is Beverly Grady with Rezoning Andrus, and we are pleased to be here to present our minor amendment, which is for adding a package store to this area of Pine Island that you have designated effectively as to be the commercial center. And also, we'd like to present the very solid planning reasons for granting the deviation. Your code provides under plan development that the board can consider, and specifically provides you can have deviations from this distance requirement. And our land use expert is Stacy Hewitt with Banks Engineering, and I think a picture speaks 1,000 words, so she's going to present our graphics to show effectively that this package store is over 800 feet from the nearest school building, and effectively how you would go to it and how you would have to actually get into the shopping center from the school, and the separation that's there is far more than that. And so that's why the hearing examiner, as as well as staff, solidly supported the grant to the deviation. And Commissioner Hammond, you are correct. There is the Publix in between, which is selling packaged beer and wine from the store that is located within the location of the package store and the school properties. Stacy.
Good morning. For the record, Stacy Hewitt, planner with Banks Engineering. I may. Let's see.
If you minimize, I think it's on the desktop.
Yeah, thank you. All right, this is an exhibit that was used at the hearing examiner hearing demonstrating an aerial showing the school building as well as the Publix building and the proposed package store. And what we have here is a red line that would demonstrate the walking distance from the school, which is approximately 2,080 linear feet. And the driving distance from the school is demonstrated by the blue line, which is approximately 2,270 linear feet. The school owns the property that is here, which is the distance is to the property line of the school, and there's a vacant area on there as well with vegetation that provides further separation. The distance from the package store to the ball field fence is approximately 500 feet, and to the bus ramp fence, which is in this location, is approximately 622 feet, and the closest school building is approximately 818 feet. And as was previously stated, there are uses in the plan development already. For one, consumption on premises for restaurants is allowed within the plan development, and accessory retail sale of alcoholic beverages is approved for the grocery store that is between us, and convenience food and beverage stores also a permitted use in the plan development that allows that. As part of the review process, the school board had no comments to add to the case during the review, so I thought that was important to add to the record as well.
Any questions for the applicant as of yet? I have a question. So great, thank you for the visualization here, but so you're showing the buffer of the wooded areas of the landscaping from the school to the Publix. Is there a fence or a wall there?
The fence is actually located along the school property line. There's a fence around the athletic field and around the bus ramp.
Are there gates that goes to that area towards the Publix?
I'm not aware if there are any gates in that location. I do not believe so.
Because a kid left school early for some reason, they wouldn't walk out to the main road, walk the sidewalk back down the Publix. They would just cut across the open land there. They would just cut across. They wouldn't do the 2,000-foot walk. So I'm just asking, that's why I was asking. Hopefully there's a buffer there, a solid wall or a fence. That's why I was asking.
Right, there, the fence is along the athletic field and the bus ramp, but I'm not aware of any gates in either of those locations.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions or applicant? No.
I just would add that that forested area that Stacy's speaking of, the plans that we filed as part of the hearing, that was the former location of the sanitary sewer percolation ponds, and now is the location of the lift station. As she said, there's a fence along that area. And then you'll see to the south of that, there's significant separation by different uses, including industrial type uses of storage and marine use there. And we have an email that was presented from the school district that had no objection to this request. And we also filed the 5-year capital improvement plan. There are no planned expansions to the Pine Island Elementary School. And through the evaluation of looking at the effective distance, we received the report of staff as well as the hearing examiner. As to the 6 participants that you have listed, 3 were in favor and in favor of this request, and a petition with approximately 500 signatures from Pine Island were also filed in favor of this request.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move the hearing examiner.
We have 6 participants yet. It's okay.
I have one question.
Yes.
The parcel to the backside of the grocery store says future parcel. Is it the same ownership that owns the center?
Yes, this is owned by Publix and has an authorized applicant for the zoning hearing.
Okay, so Publix owns the grocery store.
That's my understanding, yes.
Okay, do they also own that future parcel to the back of it?
Currently, yes.
Okay.
Currently, Publix owns the entire CPD.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. We'll go to the participants of record. The first speaker is Noel Andres. Is Noel here this morning?
See him.
Noel's not here. Hugh Adams. Elizabeth Durling. You have to, if you wish to speak, you can come to the podium, state your name, and you have 5 minutes.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Durling. I'm currently the owner of the package store out there, Dr. Watson's Liquors, looking to move to that location, at a bigger location, to expand with the community, so we'd still only have one package store out there. I'll close that one at the Winn-Dixie, and I'll move into the larger space at the Publix. And I was the one that personally handled the petition and received almost 500 signatures from the locals asking you to grant the variance, please.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. And the next speaker is John Pisani. Close enough. Pisana.
Took my wife 3 years to get it right. I'm John Posse.
Hope you're still married.
Yes, we're still married. I'm an employee and also a friend of the owners, and I approve of this.
Okay, great. Thank you. Mike Sweeney. And Deborah Hicks. Okay, that's the last participant record. We'll come back to the board. Commissioner Mann, you were.
Still move.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any other discussion? Any objection? No objection, motion carries. Thank you. Next case. Thank you.
Commissioners, the third case we have before you today is CPA 2021-7. It's been titled the property rights element. The purpose of the amendment is to incorporate a property rights element into the LEED plan as required by Florida statutes, which states that each local government shall include in its comprehensive plan a property rights element to ensure that private property rights are considered as in local decision-making criteria, and that this element must be adopted prior to the adoption of any other plan amendment initiated before July 1st of 2021. There was no public comment at the LPA hearing, and the motion was made by the LPA to transmit this case 4-0. And then just from staff's review of it, they found it consistent with the LEED plan and also recommend transmittal of this case. And staff and the applicant are here with any questions that you have.
Great. Any questions for staff at this time? And we need to make public comment. Any public comment on this item?
I'll move it.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any other discussion? Any objection? No objection, motion carries. Thank you. Next.
The final case that we have before you today is CPA 2021-2. This request is to strike policy 15, or paragraph 8 of 15.1.16, which includes a limitation on single-family and zero-lot line development, and to allow, within Area 9 of the University Community Land Use category, to allow for a more flexible type of residential development. This is a privately initiated text amendment, and I believe the applicant's here if you have any questions on the type of development they're looking for. The proposed amendment is consistent with the LEED plan. Specifically, staff found that the policy 1.1.9, objective 2.2, goal 15, and policy 15.1.6 are all being found consistent with this amendment. The LPA made a motion to transmit the CPA 3-0, and staff stands with that recommendation to transmit as well. We're here with any questions you may have.
Thank you. Any questions for staff?
Just curious, what's a quorum for the LPA? Obviously, 3 will get the job done.
There was an additional member there who abstained from this vote.
So that counts, though, toward a quorum.
Yes.
Thank you.
thinking the same thing. I was wondering, we only had 3 people there.
Yeah, an efficient operation over there.
Okay. Any other questions for staff? Is the applicant here? Is that Steve, are you here for the applicant?
Morning. For the record, I'm Steve Hartzell with Bevis Law Firm. I'm here on behalf of, I will do this. I'm here on behalf of the applicant, Alico Multifamily, with my lovely assistant, the brains of the operation, who gets me here. Yes, Stacy Hewitt with Banks Engineering is our planner, and Ted Treese with TR Transportation is our transportation engineer. Yes, short version, this is a request to amend that policy 15.1.16 and remove paragraph 8 because that has a 25% limit on single-family lots in this area. You can see where it's located. This is a closer shot of the 16.2 acres that is the Alico multifamily. And this shows the master concept plan that's being proposed. In essence, we've got an innovative, detached multifamily product that's going in. These are all individual units. The lot, however, is all owned by one entity. It's technically, under your definition, each individual building is defined as a single-family residence, and yet it's all owned by one entity. So these units will effectively operate as a small single-family neighborhood, but it's really detached multifamily. However, that's not defined in your code anywhere. Because of that 25% limit on single-family units, this multifamily project triggers the limitation. By virtue of the fact that most of this area, Area 9, has been built out already, it's not going to trigger any significant single-family, more than what would otherwise be permissible. Consequently, the only way that we could figure out to get to be able to do this kind of an innovative detached multifamily product was by eliminating that 25% limit. We worked with staff ahead of time. They agreed that this made the most sense. We worked with the university officials and met with them twice. They recommend approval of it. Staff supports it. The LPA supports it. There are no additional units that are being requested. It's just a function of this kind of detached multifamily not being defined anywhere and consequently being treated as single family that we have to apply for a plan amendment to be able to do this. We would ask for
I had one question. Any questions for the applicant this time? So you already said no extra, so there's no added density.
There's no additional
That's the most
density
important
being
thing. So there's no density increase. Okay. Thank you. Any questions? Okay, we're good. Any public comment on this item? We'll come back to the board for a motion.
Move the item.
We have a motion. We have a second. Any other discussion? Any objection? No objection. Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And we are adjourned.
Chris, Steve.